online business records suggest that the first son still holds a 10% stake in a Chinese investment fund. Is it possible to have basic transparency there on whether he actually divested that stake or not?
So your last questions, I would refer you to his representatives. That's not something that I can speak about from here at the podium.
Okay. All right. Joining me now, Miranda Devine. She's the one who actually knows about Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's ties to everything. You really should have read her book by now, Laptop from Hell, that will explain all this to you. But Miranda, let's focus. We've talked a lot about Ukraine and Russia and things like that in the past. Let's focus on China, Hunter Biden and China. How did all this even begin? I find it so odd that the Biden family is so wired in there. Why did that happen? How'd that happen?
Well, look, the first evidence we had was very public. It was when Joe Biden flew to Beijing for all these high-level meetings with the Chinese Communist Party, including Xi Jinping, and he brought along with him his son, Hunter Biden. And that was crystal clear to everybody in China what that meant. That was sending the signal that Hunter Biden was what's known in China as a Princeling, and that is a family member of a high official to whom you can give all sorts of bribes and business deals and so on. And that's exactly what happened. Joe Biden, as vice president, had some very important tasks to perform on the behalf of America, but also on behalf of the rest of the world. And that was to stop China's aggression, to stop them militarizing those islands in the South China Sea and stop stealing our intellectual property, etc. But he achieved none of that. But at the end of that trip, Hunter Biden came away from China with a 10% stake in BHR, which was an equity fund, part owned by Chinese entities like the Bank of China. And that was a pretty lucrative gig for him.
Miranda, okay, so China brings in Joe Biden's loser son, and they give him a bunch of money, obviously, that's supposed to trickle its way up to Joe. Everyone understands the game by now. Can you help me understand why, though? I mean, Joe Biden doesn't have any money. Obviously, he has a ton of influence. What exactly does China want out of U.S. policy that Joe Biden can deliver?
Well, China wants the U.S. to go soft in their foreign policy, to not interrupt their goal to basically take over the Western Pacific, to be the number one economic superpower in the world. And that's what it's been, that's its long-term plan. And it wants to do it without firing a shot. And the way to do that is to compromise high-level, influential Americans to, basically bribe businesses and to decimate American manufacturing and so on. And so Joe Biden, buying off the vice president would work very well inside that policy of influence peddling. And look, I mean, the Chinese influence operations are not confined to the Biden family. They're bipartisan. The San Francisco Bay Area, which Nancy Pelosi is in charge of, is a hotbed of Chinese influence operations.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.